Aloha,
I was
everyone, and
wondering,
welcome.
am I supposed to hear you? I wasn't sure if I was supposed to hear you.
So sorry about that. So there was a little tech issue there. I'm so sorry, everyone. But welcome to the Walking in Aloha Let's Talk Story podcast, the podcast where we share transformational stories of faith, resilience, healing, creativity, legacy, and leadership. I'm your host, international speaker, author of the year finalist, certified human rights consultant, facilitator, and creative coach, Michelle Ibala Rosa Kawano. Today, I am so excited to welcome Nic Burnette. Nic is a therapist, entrepreneur, and the founder of Destination Fortified, a platform built on the belief that healing and building are not opposites, that you can be in therapy and in business, that you can be a work in progress and still lead others well. Today, we're talking story about the intersection of therapy and entrepreneurship, what it means to build something that can hold you, and the journey from clinician to founder. Welcome, Nic, and thank you so much for that. I know tech issues happens, especially when you're live. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm doing good. So, those who are joining us for the first time, welcome. Guests have joined us from around the world, including Greece, Africa, Australia, Norway, Singapore, Laos, Egypt, Spain, UK, the US, and here in Hawaii. The one thing that connects all of my guests together is the word aloha. And for me, aloha is so much more than a greeting. Everyone hears aloha. If you know about Hawaii, you know about aloha. But to me, it's so different. It is a way of living. Affirmations and actions, living intentionally while taking daily action towards God's purpose. Leadership and love, leading ourselves so that we can lead others well. Overcoming obstacles, finding strength through life's greatest challenges, health and healing, caring for our whole selves, mind, body, spirit, and the relationships, and acute awareness, living with wisdom, gratitude, discernment, and faith. Nic, the name Destination Fortified stopped me in the moment that I heard it. It's not destination healed, not destination perfect, but fortified. Tell me about that word and what does it mean to you at the deepest level?
Absolutely. So, for me, fortified just simply means to be supported, to be strengthened, and capable. It doesn't mean, that you're perfect. It doesn't mean that you've reached the final point in life, but just that you've overcome some things and you feel like you're equipped to keep moving forward and face any obstacle that might present itself.
Ah, that is so good, so beautiful. So, like I mentioned before, the one thing that ties all of my guests together is the Aloha Always framework. And as I go through the ALOHA, I've been blessed to hear that it has helped people immensely with talking about what they do. So, the first A is affirmations and actions. As a as both a therapist and an entrepreneur, you're holding your client's healing while also building your own business. What affirmation or truth keeps you grounded when the demands of both worlds arrive at the same time?
So, my number one affirmation is my best is enough. And that's something that I try to remind my clients of because, healing, changing, growing a business is not a linear process. Some days you're going to feel productive and accomplished, and there are going to be days where you might not get to everything on the to do list. But as long as you put forth the effort and you gave it your best, that's enough. And you can keep trying the next day.
That is so good. That's one word that a lot of people have a hard time with, I think, struggling with is enough. We always want to do more, be more, you know?
Mhm.
So, what's the daily action that keeps you aligned with your mission? The thing that you come back to when the work feels heavy?
Yeah. It would definitely be prayer and self-care. I try to be intentional about having that moment to pause each day before I open emails, respond to text messages, even scroll social media. Let me, pray, find a scripture, meditate on it for a bit just to give myself that time of clarity and peace before tackling the demands of the day.
That is so good. Yes, prayer is powerful. Sometimes, people think that you have to have, I know that we do make time for prayer and that one-on-one with God, but throughout your day, prayer can be that instant thing that changes so much. I know for myself, I've done that multiple times, right? In the middle of everything, you're like talking to God.
Mhm. Absolutely, because it
Yeah.
can just give you that clarity that you need. A lot of times, you wake up and the first thing you think is, "Okay, I need to do this, I need to do that." You're running through that to-do list, but if you just stop and pray, wait, and listen, a lot of the unanswered questions will just resolve themselves.
Yes, so good. That is so true. So the L is leadership and love. There's a tension between being a therapist, which is about holding space for others, and being an entrepreneur, which is about building and leading. How do those two identities coexist inside of you?
Yeah, so I recognize that while it is my job to create and hold space for others, I still have to recognize that I'm worthy of that space as well. And so holding space for, my vision, my business, and making sure that I have my needs met. So I get to set boundaries just as well, and so while there are decisions that have to be made, there are risks involved with business, I want to make sure that I don't lose, my softness in becoming a leader. And while I'm a deeply caring person, um, my practice wouldn't be what it is without my clients. I have to set boundaries and have structure and hold them, to a certain standard as well as they would hold me. So that reciprocity in terms of respect and honoring each other's boundaries.
That is so good. Yes, that is key, to have that respect between client and, you know, a therapist or, in business and your uh, clients and your guests that come in and everything. So, yeah, that is so key. I'm glad that you mentioned that. What does it mean to lead from a fortified place as opposed to leading from exhaustion or from performance?
Mhm. So recognizing that I am still growing, I'm still healing, my business is still growing as well. So rather than overextending myself, saying yes to every little thing, knowing my limits, and putting my values first. I know therapists who will see clients all week, Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings, but taking a step back to say, yes, that might benefit others because they have, the flexibility. They can schedule their sessions on the weekends when they don't have to work. Well, I have a family as well. And so I know that Sunday, that's my reset day. My family and I, we worship, we come home, and we rest. And so while it might help me to see more clients or It might help more people, be attracted to my business because, oh, she offers weekends. My values, my faith, and my family, that comes first. So I have to be able to recognize that, I'm still growing. I still have needs as well. I have to honor what I need.
That is so, so good and important because, yeah, we can get so busy and trying to serve and being, for me anyway, like the way that I looked at it was like, as a good Christian, I should serve. But no, there is that time where you need your time with God. Sundays is always good, and I try to reach people all over the world. So I do open my schedule. And like you said, some people may have that flexibility where others don't. My kids are grown. They're all, so I don't have to worry about that. But yeah, it is important for people to remember that and to give not only your client space, but make sure that you have that space too. You know, I was sitting, I was actually in church and um, on the, like as soon as you come in and there's like the uh, notices or whatever they have going on for the week, the month, on the screen. And I'm like, oh, shoot, I didn't block that day. And, with AI now, I have my calendar attached. So I'm able to say, I need you to check this day and make sure that the calendar doesn't conflict, with anything
Mhm.
else. 'Cause I need those days clear. So, yeah, it is important because if you're not taking care of yourself, like they say, right, you need to put the oxygen mask on yourself before you
Right.
can help anyone else. And so, to give yourself that time, that is so good. Thank you again for mentioning something that is so important. Overcoming obstacles, that is the O in Aloha. What is the biggest obstacle that you've faced building Destination Fortified, either internally as someone doing your own healing work or externally as someone building a business from scratch?
I would say the pressure to have everything figured out. I worked in the behavioral healthcare setting for almost 10 years before starting my own practice. And so with that, there is the safety and the security, the retirement benefits, the health insurance. You know exactly what your paycheck is going to be every 2 weeks. Um, and so walking away from that and knowing that, okay, I have this savings, and if this practice doesn't take off the way that I would like for it to, I could have nothing.
Mm,
Um, and so it just really, I had to have faith that everything would work out. Um, but doubt happens. Doubt is a real thing. We all experience it no matter how much faith we have. But just reminding myself, you don't have to have it all figured out. And there are going to be seasons. There are going to be seasons where you have, a ton of clients, every slot is booked. And then there's going to be, the summertime when the weather is nice and people are on vacations, they're not experiencing as much grief and heaviness. And so the caseload might look a little low, but that doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong or that you've made a mistake.
yeah, so true. Because I still work part time as a TSA officer. And I, I like to say that my TSA job funds my mission, and it keeps me with the medical and everything. And I'll be making 5 years in September, so soon. And then you're vested, right? So I was like, I just need that time. But yeah, it can get daunting to worry about those things. But I always say that, with our faith and trust in the Lord, things will work out, but it does get scary. In March, I found that I have a brain aneurysm, and people ask me all the time, like, how do you do that? And it's like, I know that I can trust in the Lord. But as I was at work yesterday, someone asked me, how much do I make as an author? How much do I make? Like, I know it's kind of weird when people just comes out and ask you, and they're like, and I'm like, I don't really talk about that. And they're like, 100,000? And they start naming things. Where is it? And I'm like, and I said, actually, there is a ebb and flow of things.
Mhm.
It doesn't always stay the same, and you have to be okay with that. As an entrepreneur, you have to be okay with that. And, you know, that's why you learn to budget, and you learn to do things that way where you know that you're safe and you're okay. So, yeah, it does. It's hard, but, that is why we do what we do. We serve so we can reach more people. So, what do most people in the helping profession get wrong about entrepreneurship, and vice versa?
So I think that there can be um, some conflict between profit and purpose. I know that there are a lot of helping professionals. Well, you enter the field already under the assumption that, therapists don't make a lot of money or social workers, don't make a lot. And so it might feel like charging your worth, for example, is a way that you're compromising your authenticity or your calling. Um, Rates can vary. And so, depending on what methods of payments you might be accepting, those days, if you're seeing clients on the weekends or late in the evening, it's okay to charge your worth. That doesn't mean that you're out for money or you're just trying to make a profit. But at the end of the day, we have to make sure that we're comfortable. And so, being careful not to undercharge because they feel like, okay, that's compromising, myself or my purpose. So I think that that's one of the key things that helping professionals can get misconstrued and confusing that burnout with commitment. It's okay to take care of yourself first and charge your worth. That doesn't mean that you have to overextend yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I had a problem with charging. I've done, like, coaching and things like that for so long for nothing. And, like, especially having connect groups and everything, and you're doing all of the things. And then now you're like charging, and people look at you like, oh, but you were doing it for nothing before. It's like they don't
Mhm.
understand that now, when it becomes your business, and you have to be able to charge your worth, because you can't continue to just deliver and be like, I can give it all away, because you're not taking care of yourself. And how are you supposed to sustain that way of living, right? And so people need to understand that. So it is very good. Yes, you must be able to charge your worth, because you can't sustain yourself. You can't continue the work that you're doing if you're not getting paid what you should be getting paid. So that is very important. And that just rolls right into the H of health and healing. Therapists are notorious for not doing their own therapy. What does your own mental and emotional health practice look like? And how do you make sure that you're being held while you are doing the holding?
Yeah. So, just remembering that while I might be one of the people who holds space for others, that doesn't mean that I shouldn't need space held for me. And
Exactly.
so making sure that I am being in tune with myself, asking myself, what do I need from me? What do I need from my family? What do I need from my clients? And being honest, with myself and not pushing through. If I feel like, these are the things that absolutely have to be done today, the rest can wait, giving myself that grace and the space that I need to only take care of the things that are immediately pressing. Um, so physical activity, I try to exercise about 5 days a week. If I only make it 3, I still give myself credit for what I was able to do, as well as trying to, eat well, like I mentioned earlier, prayer, music, time with my family. I'm working on resting. That's an area I can improve in. And therapy when I need it. I've been to therapy myself probably about 3 times. And so I recognize and know, okay, I need maintenance, or I need to recharge. And so I have no issue reconnecting to get the support, the professional support that I need.
Yes, that is so good. We need to recognize those things. And sometimes in serving, we tend to put ourselves on that back burner, right? So it is so good that you mentioned that. And getting the therapy when you need it and not looking at it like, well, I'm the therapist, I don't need it. That's not the truth, right? You
Right.
should be able to recognize the needs that you have also and getting it done without having that worry. So that is so good. You know, your website, destinationfortified.com, is the bridge between the clinical world and the broader community that you're building. What do you want people to find there emotionally, not just informationally?
Yeah. So I want people to know that, um, number one, there doesn't have to be anything wrong for you to
Mm.
seek therapy. It doesn't mean that you're broken. It doesn't mean that you have to be fixed. And most importantly, you don't have to figure things out on your own. So I want people to feel safe, hopeful. I want them to be encouraged and recognize that there is help, someone who understands, and that they're capable of change.
Mm. Yeah, that is so good. And that is why um, when God gave me the Aloha Always framework, I was writing my book and I didn't like the way that it was going. And I prayed and I said, Lord, if you need me to write this book, if this is something, my testimony is something that will reach other people, then you need to help me. And when he gave me the Aloha Always framework, he said, I gave you everything in Aloha. I was born and raised here in Hawaii. So I know what aloha is. I know what it means. I didn't see how it related, but as I wrote everything down, that is how the framework came because I could see that God walked me through all of the 5 steps that we're going through now. And the last A, acute awareness, is just that, being aware, right? Being aware of not just what other people are doing, but what you're also doing, how you're feeling, what you're receiving, and knowing that it's okay. It's okay to reach out. It's okay to do those things because I was going through like a really bad depression during the time, right, of the domestic violence and everything like that. And so sometimes, like, I'll feel like I'm getting into like a little funk, right? And you're like, you got to be able to recognize that because if you don't, and then you prolong it, then it could get worse. right?
Mhm.
So to be able to be acutely aware of yourself and what is going on. So that is so good. What do you want people who work with you to feel about themselves when they walk?
So I think that most people seek therapy because um, their emotions or their thoughts are uncomfortable. No one wants to be sad. No one wants to overthink or be overwhelmed. And so I'm honest when I tell people I may not be able to help you make those things go away. They may not stop. And so rather than expecting people to leave saying, I feel better, I want people to leave saying,
Mhm.
I feel more capable. So at any given point, I might feel sadness, I might feel grief, I might feel overwhelmed, but I have the tools that I need to help me, navigate the waves of life. And so I want people to have a stronger relationship with themselves. Like you said, being able to recognize when they are, falling back into, a depression, or when they recognize that they are starting to allow people, to violate their boundaries, and using those skills, getting out, getting fresh air, grounding themselves, figuring out who their support is, going to those people and asking them for help or whatever it is that they need. I want people to recognize and walk in their worth, because that's what you need in order to navigate the twists and turns of life. They're not going to go away, unfortunately, but we got to be capable and know what we need to do when things get tough.
Yeah, that is so good. Because yeah, life will happen. It's not gonna stop, you know, until we go to heaven or whatever. But it's like people can't expect everything to be pristine and great every day of
Mhm.
every moment, or every moment of every day, because life is life. And yes, recognizing those things, noticing when you need the help, noticing when you need to be the one asking for something, and being okay with that. I think people feel like maybe they're failing if they have to ask for help or if they need to reach out. But no, that there's strength in that. There's strength
Mhm.
in that reaching out. There's strength in asking for help and noticing when you need it. Not pretending that, oh, since I'm going to therapy now, everything should be good, but I don't feel good today. Recognize that. It's okay. It's
Mhm.
perfectly fine to not be okay in that moment, but you have the tools, you have the ability to, work those things out, because yeah, life is going to be lifing and we need to
Yes.
be ready for that. So good, so good. So, if Destination Fortified is still here years from now, if someone finds your work long after this season, what do you want them to understand about what you were building and why?
Yeah. So I want people to understand that um, healing isn't fixing. So it's an ongoing process. We may feel, perfectly capable in some moments or on some days, and then in others we might feel like everything is falling apart. But if you focus on the strengths, on the positive things, and not the negative, you can get through just about anything. So I want people to recognize that, you know, there doesn't have to be anything wrong. You don't have to wait until you're back at square one. And also be proactive. Figure out the things that you enjoy, the things that make you feel whole, and um, things that align with your values. Focus on those things, do those things, prioritize yourself. That alone will raise, your natural baseline and level of tolerance for stress. So this should be a proactive approach, not reactive. We're taking care of ourselves so that we're already the best version. And so if we get knocked down a few notches, we're not below that baseline. We're just like everybody else until we get back where we were.
Yeah, that is so good. And to recognize that baseline, you know, it's okay. And it's like I said before, I notice if I fall into like a funk where I'm like, am I there or am I dipping below the line? You know,
Mhm.
and to
Mhm.
be able to recognize that and be proactive. Do the things that you've learned. Remember those things. And when it gets hard to manage it, then do ask for help. Do reach out,
Yes.
because you're not alone. We're not meant to do this alone. And, you know, it is perfectly fine to do that, no matter where you are or where people may think that you are, and I think people worry about judgment. And
Mhm.
one of the things that I remember the abuser saying to me while I was, like in this depression and everything, I was on medication. And he would tell me, like, if anyone knew that you were taking medication for this, no one would want to work with you. No one, things like that. And I'm like, at that time, you tend to believe because that
Mhm.
is the control that they have. But I look at that now and I'm like, why did I even let that get to me? Why did I,
Right.
but it is possible. It is possible. And now I know better, you know, I know better. And I know that if you need the help, then get it. And don't feel bad about it. Don't worry about the judgment that may come across because people they're not walking in your shoes, you know they don't know
Mhm.
everything. So yeah, so good, so good. This has been such an amazing conversation, so key on all of the topics of today, right? How many people go through these things on a daily? But Nick, I want to just say mahalo for the honesty and the vision that you brought to the conversation. You remind us that being fortified isn't about being invulnerable. It's about being built strong enough to hold your own weight and still have room for others. So please share with everyone where they can find Destination Fortified and connect with you.
Absolutely. So I am online at www.destinationfortified.com. I am also on Instagram, and that's at fortified with the number four. So it's four
Okay.
TIFIED _R_E_D.
So red.
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. And I love the fortified.
Yes.
So
So a little backstory.
uh,
I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and Fortified Deliverance was the line name that I was given. Obviously, because of my history of resilience, overcoming an adverse childhood, and other obstacles throughout early adult life. And so people call the deltas reds because of our colors, which are crimson and cream. So that's where that came from.
oh, nice. So you carry a bit of your history in that. That's good. And it's
Yes,
also that the people who know about it will automatically know about it.
absolutely.
Yeah. So good, so good. So everyone who's here today and listening, and if you're listening on a, later date, maybe you've been told that healing and building can't happen at the same time. Maybe you've been waiting to feel ready before you step into your purpose. Let Nick's story remind you that you can be in process and in purpose at the same time. So thank you again, Nick, for being here on the Walking in Aloha Let's Talk Story podcast. And everyone, keep walking in aloha.